I think we can all agree that we have a massive crisis down at the U.S. southern border. Immigration into the U.S. is far exceeding what anybody ever expected. And this is turning into a massive crisis that the Biden administration has actually caused themselves. Now, I'm going to address what's going on here. We're not just going to talk about the people coming into the United States. We're also going to address those that are still waiting for their applications to be approved. Because according to reports, over 30 million people are waiting for their applications to enter into the United States to get approved. This is turning into a big issue, and the Biden administration is doing nothing to resolve this problem. So I'm going to address that in just a moment. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So for months now, we have seen the same thing. People crossing the U.S. border, trying to get into the United States and doing everything in their power just to make it through, just to provide a better life for their families. And we've been hearing for the longest time that all these illegal immigrants, they are criminals. They're here just to cause havoc and make it harder for the American citizens. But in many cases, that's not true. In many instances, all people are trying to do is, yes, provide a better life for themselves and their family. Well, the Biden administration said, come to the United States. The United States is the place to be. Come here because, well, we will welcome you. We will not turn anybody away. But you have to do it legally. And the Biden administration comes out and they change the laws to make it easier for people to get into the United States. Well, I want to show you something. Because the Biden administration says they're doing everything in their power to make the United States the place to be. And people to come here legally, start a life, build a family, build a business, and be just, proud members of a community. Well, I want to show you this. This right here says green card process utterly failing to help immigrants pursue the American dream in lawful and orderly ways. I want to read you some of the numbers, okay? Because this is staggering. Look at this. It says only 3% of the people who have applied for green cards will receive one in fiscal year 2024. As the backlog continues to grow and migrants continue to choose illegal migration pathways in large numbers. I've been telling you guys this before. I've been saying this for many months. Number one, we are seeing that it is harder to get into the United States. Number one, because we have less people processing these applications. That's number one. Number two, we keep on increasing the fees for applicants to get into the U.S. And I get it, inflation, all this stuff, higher wages, cost of paper, whatever. It's more expensive, but at the same time, this is ridiculous. When we are seeing a previous application for citizenship and naturalization into the U.S., when that increased by over 130% in this coming year for fiscal year 2024, that is insane. We have not seen that much inflation over the past couple of years. So how are we increasing fees that much, which now it's enticing people to pay a coyote to get them into the U.S.? Because that is almost a guarantee. You give them $2,000 to $5,000, they'll get you into the U.S. Well, you give that $2,000 or that $1,300 to USCIS, there's no guarantee they even look or process your application, especially anytime soon. But look at these numbers right here. It says about 1.1 million green cards may be issued in fiscal year 2024, but there are currently 34.7 million pending applications. The backlog has its roots in the Immigration Act of 1924 and subsequent eligibility restrictions. While 98.1% of immigrant applicants were allowed to enter the country with permanent status from 1888 to 1921, just 16% of applicants were admitted in an average year once caps were imposed, but the rate fell to 3.8% in 2023. Wait a second. Didn't the Biden administration say they were going to make it easier for people to go through the legal pathways and gain citizenship here in the US. But then, according to this, it's saying that on average we were at 16% admitted per year. But in 2023, under the Biden administration, only 3.8% were approved. That's crazy. It says adding to the problem is the fact that the government has let 6.3 million green cards go to waste since 1921, failing to meet caps, in large part due to processing delays. Again, processing delays. Now, here's what I think is interesting. The Biden administration is asking for $60 billion to send to Ukraine. They're asking for over $14 billion to go to Israel, $9 billion to go to Gaza, humanitarian aid, billions to the Indo-Pacific, all this stuff. But they were only going to send $20 billion to the U.S. southern border. How are we only sending $20 billion? How? We need more money to go to the U.S. southern border for extra security, extra processing power, right? To get more border agents to not only apprehend people, but to deter them away and process them quicker if they are an asylum seeker. Well, here's what I can tell you. The Biden administration is actually considering executive action on the U.S. southern border. And these are things that former President Donald Trump once did. Now, I want to explain what some of these are. Because according to the Associated Press, President Biden is considering potential action under Section 212F of the 1958 Immigration and Nationality Act, which allows the president to deny immigration for anyone deemed detrimental to the interests of the United States. Not only that, according to the New York Times, they're reporting that President Biden, his executive order would restrict migrants' ability to claim asylum in the U.S. if they cross the border illegally. Well, here's what we know. One of the things that they're discussing at this time is if a migrant tries to cross the United States border in between legal ports of entry, they would be barred from getting asylum. They'd be barred from entering into the United States, or for a certain amount of time. They also say asylum seekers will need to prove that they are in danger in their own country. Okay? If they cannot prove that, they will be sent back. They would be denied asylum. Now, keep in mind what we heard from the Associated Press. They said they would deny anybody that's deemed detrimental to the interests of the United States. One of the things that the United States does not want to do, we do not want to go out there and allow convicts and criminals into the country. However, look at this. It says the Border Patrol has arrested 6,400 illegal immigrants with criminal convictions and 178 gang members in fiscal year 2024. Those are not the people we want entering into the United States. But here's the concern. Even though they've apprehended 6,400 illegal immigrants with criminal convictions, guess what? Many of which have been let inside the country because they cannot actually detain them. They do not have the space. But the Biden administration says, give me the money and I will make more detention centers. Well, guess what? You cannot just erect a detention center in the matter of days. It's going to take potentially years to erect a detention center to house 6,400 illegal immigrants, all with criminal convictions. Because guess what? You cannot just have a regular detention center. It probably has to have higher security, right? Well, again, that's a problem. But it's not just a problem for these border states like Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. Every state is going to feel the effects of this. Just listen to this. This is the Georgia Governor, Brian Kemp. Listen to what he has to say really quick.
To be clear, the crisis on the border is a national problem, and it demands a national solution. But if the Biden administration continues to fail the American people, then we have no choice but to step in.
Exactly. States, as of right now, are trying to step in because guess what? We cannot wait. We have to do something to secure the U.S. southern border. And it's not because we don't want people coming into the United States. We don't want people coming into the United States that are criminals or that are potential terrorists. Those are the things that many lawmakers have said is we cannot allow the United States to crumble simply because the Biden administration is not willing to protect all states, but protect the U.S. southern border from being crossed so easily. So here's one thing I can tell you, and I'll leave you with this. Right now, more states than not are pushing back against the Biden administration, saying that he has to do more. He needs to provide additional funding to the U.S. southern border and to certain states so that they can actually house these illegal immigrants, house asylum seekers. Because as of right now, we don't have the money, we don't have the resources, and we should not be allowing more people into the United States because that will only deplete the resources that we currently have. So that's where we're at this time. As always, as soon as we get more information, I promise I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. But that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.